All right, folks. Hey, welcome to the Darian Counts Show. I am Darian Counts, getting things going here for you today. We appreciate you guys being with us. Kind of starting things out here. It's a new show. We appreciate you. We hope you'll subscribe to our channel and listen to us and check in with us whenever you can. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happening in the presidential election. Actually, we're going to talk a lot about that. So we hope you guys appreciate it, and we hope you're into it. Feel free to leave us comments. You can email me at the Darian Counts Show 2020 at Gmail, if you like. So we just recently had the Iowa caucus, and they came out with some great, I'm just kidding, it's not that great. Apparently the Democratic Party, or at least the Iowa version of it, and I don't know why we even say the Iowa version, because what Iowa did is no different from what the DNC would do. The DNC is stacked with a bunch of people who under no circumstances can allow Bernie Sanders to win this. Now, Bernie Sanders came up from about 18%. Him and Elizabeth Warren were tied up. They were doing their thing. And Elizabeth Warren had some bad things to say about Bernie, questioning his integrity, and Elizabeth Warren's integrity versus Bernie's. Obviously, she lost that battle. She sunk in the polls. Bernie began to rise, and he consistently rose. Biden just disappeared, just complete collapse out of Joe Biden. Pete Buttigieg put a lot of money into Idaho, and he worked real hard for that. And he came up quite a bit, and he seems to be the darling of the new Democratic Party, because they realize Biden's not going to work. Elizabeth Warren's not going to work. Amy Klobuchar is just not even an option, and so they came out with the Democratic Iowa caucus. When it was all said and done, now by Monday night, it happened on Monday. By Monday night, they were supposed to have these numbers. By 9:30, we were going to see who won. Whoever won that was going to take off, and they were just going to get momentum and media exposure. And generally, the person who wins that caucus has a great opportunity to win the nomination. And so we were already, most folks all across the country knew that Bernie Sanders was just going to do fantastic in this. He was going to come out. He was going to win it. It was going to do great. And then by Monday night, we were waiting for the results, and they never came. And then Tuesday, they didn't come. And then Tuesday, a little bit of them came out late Tuesday and said, oh, Pete Buttigieg won. But then they took it back and said, no, he didn't win. Then some more came out, and more. No information came out that didn't say Pete Buttigieg won. Now, when the numbers came out, you found out that actually Bernie Sanders had more votes. And actually, Pete Buttigieg and Bernie Sanders were tied. And then a lot of complaints came out that people were casting votes, and you could see, looking at the computer, that votes were being reallocated from Bernie Sanders to Deval Patrick in many cases. In some areas, you would see where Buttigieg would have 30%, and Warren would have 20%, and Biden would have 15%, and Klobuchar would have 7%, and Bernie would have no percent, 0%. I don't know how this is going to happen. Well, we do know how this could happen. Obviously, the Iowa caucus and the complete Democratic Party is going to do whatever they can do to stop Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, and I don't like to say this way, is the Donald Trump of 2020. The Republicans didn't want Trump. Now, obviously, they all got on board with him. They all sold their souls and jumped on board with him, and that's fine. That's what they do. And in all honesty, that's probably what's going to happen with the Democrats. But we're going to have to fight and twist them. Now, the reason they don't want Bernie, a couple reasons. Number one, their donors don't want Bernie. Their donors are billionaires and multi-millionaires, and they know that if Bernie Sanders is elected, they will have to pay their fair share of taxes. Now, a lot of people say, and I hear this a lot, and I want to kind of address this, well, the wealthy pay all the taxes. Wealthies pay more taxes than anybody. The top 20% pay more than 50% of the taxes. Now, where does all the new income go with these tax cuts? The vast majority of the new income goes to the ultra wealthy. Is the amount of new income they pay equal to, is the amount of new income they make equal to the percentage of taxes they pay? And I say it's not. If the amount in total was new income for wealthy people is 80% of the new income is earned by the wealthy, well, they pay about 40% of the taxes. No, they should pay 80% of the taxes. 80% of the income, 80% of the taxes. That's how it should go. Because what you have then, if they're making 80% of the income and paying 40, 50, or 60% of the taxes, that means whoever's making 20% of the income is also paying 50%. So the majority of the taxes, yes, are probably paid by the top 10%. But a vast majority of the income is made by the top 10%, and that's why they pay that amount of taxes. Now, we recently had the impeachment, and I'm tying these together for a reason, because we recently had the impeachment trial, and as we knew, Trump was found not guilty. Was he proven innocent? Was he exonerated? No, he was not exonerated because he chose not to compete in the trial. He chose to not have witnesses, so they could never exonerate him. So all the information that came out that we know of what he did, and it's quite clear what he did. He tried to use American taxpayers to bribe a foreign government, to extort a foreign government to help him with his election. Not only is that abuse of power, but it's election fraud. It's election engineering. He's also got election issues with Russia. He's also got election issues with Stormy Daniels. He paid her to hide his debauchery from his voters, and the person that was his partner and that is already in prison. And that happened. That really happened around 2016. Around the same time in 2016, another thing happened. He was charged in a civil case with raping a 13-year-old as a pedophilia charge. Him and his co-defendant Jeffrey Epstein were both charged. The woman disappeared. We don't know what happened to her. Jeffrey Epstein was later caught in prison and tried to kill himself, so they put him on suicide watch. But then they forgot to watch him, and then he killed himself in a prison that was run by Bill Barr, who's Donald Trump's employee. And I know a lot of people say, oh, Hillary, boy, she sure is strong. She sure is. She snuck into a prison and had him killed. Oh, boy, she's in a prison that she doesn't own. She's so strong she can do that, but she couldn't beat Donald Trump in the election. I think we know that's BS. So Trump's got a lot of issues. Yes, his co-defendant, I forgot his lawyer with the Stormy Daniels case, she's in jail. He's in jail for election fraud, which Trump should be too. Jeffrey Epstein's dead. He was in prison for pedophilia. Trump's co-defendant for the same rape charge of a 13-year-old. So, and maybe that case is not bona fide. Maybe Epstein was innocent. Maybe Trump and Epstein were both innocent. Maybe they didn't do that. But it never came to trial. They never got an opportunity to prove themselves innocent. Just like the impeachment came, and Trump never even tried to prove himself innocent. So I think it's pretty clear what's going on with that. Trump doesn't show up. Trump sends his lawyers, and he did. He sent his lawyers. He sent, what's his name? What was the lawyer? I don't know. It was the OJ lawyer, Dershowitz. Alan Dershowitz. So Trump pulled in the OJ lawyer, Dershowitz, and they put forth a defense, and Trump got the same results OJ. Not guilty, but not innocent. Use the same lawyer, same thing. So you've got Trump using OJ's lawyer, getting the same results. You've got Trump with his co-defendant in prison for election fraud with Stormy Daniels. Not to mention he was having sex with a porn star, unprotected sex with a porn star, while his pregnant wife was at home getting ready to have a baby. And then you've got Jeffrey Epstein, his co-defendant, who is now dead. So there sure is a lot of stuff running around Donald Trump. Boy, he sure is so unlucky that he's surrounded with all these criminals and pedophiles and just disgusting human beings. It's just a shame. I wish people would stop putting these people all around him, because poor Donald Trump, he's just surrounded by these disgusting people. So anyways, so we had the Iowa caucus. Democrats jumped up to pee in the pool. They're going to totally reelect Donald Trump if they don't get out of the way. There's one candidate who has the movement and who has the people. See, now Sanders doesn't take any money from corporations. Buttigieg, he's taking money from corporations for company. He is for sale. Biden is for sale. Klobuchar is for sale. Warren, I don't know. I think she might have stopped being for sale, and now she's following Bernie's lead while bad-mouthing them all away. All these people are taking money from corporations to do corporations' bidding. Bernie Sanders, he's taking money from people to do the people's bidding. No more bullshit. No more taking money. No more being bought and paid for. That is not what this new election is going to be about. From now on, see, if we can do this, if we can unite as people, and we can put Bernie Sanders in, Bernie Sanders can clean out the DNC, get rid of all of these Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Tom Perez, all of these people, Podesta, all of these Clinton people. We got to get them out. These people are a poison. They've got to go. But that's only a partial part of the problem. That's just the Democratic side. Then you got to get in the White House. I'm going to scare these people. They've got to know. Now, Bernie is smart. If you watch, they try to screw him in this Iowa caucus saying he didn't have this, he didn't have that. They had Buttigieg way out in front for a while. Then Bernie came out and he says, oh, hey, listen, I have my own results. I've been keeping track. Here's what they are. And he released 40% of the results. That was his message to the DNC saying, don't release any BS. I know the real results, and if you release fake results, I'm going to call you on it, and I'm going to release the real results. So they had to stop their plan. It took them 2 or 3 days to reformulate and come out with another set of BS results. Now, those are still contested. And as it is right now, let's just kind of take a look real quick at what they're saying. Now, let's see if we can get here. There. So here's the numbers right now. They're saying Buttigieg is at 26.2, Bernie's at 26.1 with the, I don't know what that is a percentage of, the delegates that they're giving out, because Bernie beat Buttigieg by about 6,000 votes. Now, 6,000 out of 120-something thousand people is not a major amount. It's like, what, 4%, 3-4%? But when you consider there were 7, 8 candidates spread all throughout, that's an incredible number. Now, Buttigieg did well, too. So if these are real numbers and if they're not modified, if they're not been messed with, then good job to Pete Buttigieg, good job to Bernie Sanders. But Pete Buttigieg did all that. He spent a lot of money in Iowa. Why? Because he had a lot of money, because he sold his campaign to corporations. Bernie takes money from voters. Now, if they're both collecting the same amount of money, which they're not, Bernie's collecting massive amounts of money to Buttigieg's decent amount of money. But Buttigieg is taking money from corporations, $1,000, $2,000, however much at a time. Bernie takes $18 at a time, $20 at a time from actual voters. So when it comes down to it, and it comes down to the election, who would you rather have? 10 corporations or 1 million voters who have donated to you? Obviously, you're going to want the voters, because if people are spending money, sending you money, they're going to go to the polls. They're going to vote. So we're seeing that Buttigieg is up here, and he looks like he's at 26.2. Bernie's at 26.1. We're still waiting to see what happens. We're still waiting on all the numbers. We may be waiting. We may be, and here's what's going to happen in my opinion, anyways, is they're going to do what they do with the job numbers. They'll come out in December and say, oh, hey, we put out 250,000 jobs in the month of December. Things are going gangbusters. Then they just go on their business. Then about March, they release the March numbers, and they say, oh, hey, we had to revise those December numbers. We didn't do 250,000. We did 50,000. But then they just go on with their business. And that's what they're going to do, I believe, in the Iowa caucus. A couple of months, they'll come out and go, you know what, actually, Bernie Sanders did win. He won by quite a bit. And that's what they do. The whole purpose of the Iowa caucus was to take away any momentum Bernie might get. They cannot afford Bernie to win. The Democratic Party can't afford it. And then the establishment in Washington can't afford it. So if you're looking for someone to go in and shake things up. Now, people voted for Trump because they thought he was going to shake things up. Trump didn't shake anything up. Trump brought his whole crew of slimy swamp lizards in with him. Now, granted, many of them have been convicted. Many of them have gone to jail. A lot of them have gone to jail. More than any other administration, Trump has had criminals surrounding him. And so I want to take a minute and kind of look at the history of these two individuals. Now, on one hand, you've got Trump, young fella, young guy sitting in his office on the 150th floor, some skyscraper that his dad bought. Now, in the early 70s, Donald Trump, as well as his father, Fred Trump, were prosecuted by the United States government for racism. Apparently, whenever a black couple would fill out an application for one of their apartments, and Fred Trump, that's what he was big in. He was big in apartments before they got big into skyscrapers and things like that. Fred Trump and his boy, Donald, if someone filled out an application, they'd have like an application number. It'd be like 725-464-B or 725-464-A. And the B, I don't know what the A stood for, but the B stood for black. So there would be an application. They didn't ask on the application if you were African-American or Mexican or whatever, white, whatever. But there's just a little B up there. And what they got caught doing that to let people know that, hey, this is a black couple. So, don't vote to, or don't allow them to rent the apartment or whatever. So he got prosecuted for that, and it was a big deal. It went on and on. Then you had the 80s when Trump came out, and those 5 boys from Central Park were acquitted. They were initially charged with a murder, I believe, but they were acquitted. DNA evidence came out and acquitted them, but it wasn't good enough for Trump. Trump took out a full-page ad in the newspaper, spent his own money to ask that these children, or that these young men, they were 17 at the time, ask that they get the death penalty. I believe the newspaper ad said that, to reinstate the death penalty. Even though he knew these kids were innocent. His statements were, well, they were doing something in the park. Basketball, maybe? Is that what people do in the park? So Trump went out and he did that. So here's what we've got. We've got Trump here in his office, looking cushy, looking comfy. Oh, he's such a nice boy. Look at that boy. Now, let's look at someone else. Who is this mean person right here? Look at this mean SOB. Yeah, dog, that guy is mad. What is he mad about? How can this be? How can he be so mad? I don't get it. Well, let's take a little bit better look. Let's zoom out a little bit. What do you got? Oh, I see. This is Bernie Sanders in the mid-60s, chained himself to a black girl, holding her hand. Look at this. You got to see this. I thought this was the most incredible thing. Look at this. Just look at those two holding hands. Look at that. Bernie holding on to her tight. Look at the determination in Bernie's face. He is not having any of it. He is waiting for these cops, and I have to kind of say that these cops, they do not seem to, I guess you can't see their faces in all this here, but they don't seem too menacing. They look a little disgusted. They're not real happy, but they're not beating Bernie or this poor black woman with their sticks. And so you've got Bernie standing there, sitting there, willing to be beaten, making a stand for African Americans. And it's not just for African Americans, it's all Americans. African Americans, Mexican Americans, Chinese, Asian, white, all Americans, so that we all are treated the same. He was doing this at a time when he could be shot, he could be killed, he could be beaten. The KKK could come to his house, all kinds of things. He made that stand. When he made that stand and he stood there all that time, what were we doing? What was everyone else doing? Well, we know what this guy was doing. He was trying to not rent apartments to black folks. Later on, he would go on to try and get black kids executed for a crime he knew they didn't commit. What the hell is wrong with him? What the hell is wrong with somebody who would elect this type of gentleman? Then he hired Tony Schwartz to write a book for him to tell everybody how good in business he is. Then his father passed away, left him $400 million, which he lost because he bought a casino or a series of casinos and put them out of business. Who puts a casino out of business? Anybody put a casino out of business? I've never heard of that. You can't put a casino out of business. Yes, you can if you're a criminal. If you drain it dry, bankrupt it, take that money, hit the road, then file bankruptcy, leaving your creditors holding the bag, which is exactly what Trump does every time. That is his MO. So if you take a look at that person, you compare him to this guy, there is just no comparison whatsoever. Bernie Sanders is the real deal. He's the one who is going to make a stand for America. In an election where the President of the United States is a pathological liar. I believe he's a pathological liar, and I think he has a mental issue. I think he has mental decline. And I think that there's just something wrong with him. Aside from the fact that he's never had a real job in his life, he's never had to work, he's never had to make a car payment, he's never made a house payment, he's never had his back against the wall for anything financial. And if he did, he just borrowed money from Russia. That's by him and his family's own claim. So you've got someone like this man fighting against this man. One of these guys is going to win. And the America that we end up with is going to be predicated on who wins this. Now, bear with me, folks, because there's something else that I'm looking for here. Boom. That's a real president. That's a man of honor. That's a person who makes a stand or takes a seat. I don't know what you would call it. Takes a stand, takes a seat, does what needs to be done, and gets the job done. And that's what he's done. If you look at the incredible amount of results that Bernie's had, the incredible amount of popularity that he's had, all the people who love Bernie most are the people who voted for him, people who he represented. This is an opportunity for America to change and to take a left turn and get away from all of this hate and insecurity. And Trump is just a massively insecure man. He knows he's never been able to get the results. The only results he got were he did win the presidency of the United States. Yes, Hillary Clinton was a disgusting piece of garbage. Everyone hated her, myself included. I voted for her because she was the only less of a piece of crap going against Donald Trump. Had to. Only Democrat I ever voted for in my life. Spent 40 years pulling the lever, straight Republican. Never voted for Democrat, not once. I had to. When my party throws away honor, credibility, dignity, patriotism, when they tossed that all away, I had no choice. I had to vote for Hillary Clinton. Now, would I do it again? If I knew she was going to lose, no. I would have wrote Bernie Sanders in. I kind of wish I did still. But under no circumstances would I be voting for Trump. I would stay home. And if the Democrats put the wrong candidate up, I, myself, and many people will stay home this time again. And we'll give that. The Democrats, make no mistake, the Democrats gave us Trump. They put a candidate up that their party didn't want, that offended. People knew Bernie Sanders had the momentum. He had the base. He was ready to go crush Trump. Everyone knows he would have beat Trump, but they cheated. Hillary Clinton took on the DNC's debt, and she made the rules. She put her people in charge, and they made the rules. When it looked like Bernie Sanders was going to take off, and he was going to take it from him, that was not acceptable. They badmouthed him, they squashed him, and they crammed Hillary down our throat. So a lot of people voted for Gary Johnson and voted for Jill Stein, and good for them. They have every damn right to vote for who they want. The Democratic Party wants to go out and screw their constituents, then they got to pay the price. But in reality, we paid the price. Now they're trying to stand there like, oh yeah, we're going to work hard, we're going to get that fixed. No, you're not. You had your chance. Step down. Bernie Sanders is going to win this. He's going to take it. Now, if Pete Buttigieg wants to be part of Bernie Sanders' cabinet, then he's going to just have to step up, and he's going to have to give some money back to these corporations. That's what he's going to have to do. Elizabeth Warren, she may have a part. I don't know. I'm not real happy with her right now. The BS she was trying to sell, try and badmouth Bernie, that was crap. Everyone knew it. It tanked her candidacy. But there may be a spot for her. She is pretty vicious when it comes to prosecuting Wall Street executives, and I'd love to see her take off on that. I'd love to see her across as the Attorney General or as the, I don't know what but Bernie knows. Also, I'd like to see Marianne Williamson. I've liked Marianne Williamson. Also, I like Tom frickin' Steyer. All Bernie's got to do is tell Tom, I'll put you in my cabinet. You're going to have to bankroll this. Let's start using the billionaires for our benefit instead of their benefit. And that's what Bernie's going to have to do. Now, another thing Bernie's going to need to do, he's going to need to take Tom Steyer, start his own party, because these Dems are not going to stop. I can't see them stopping. The only way they stop is if we defeat them. And why bother defeating them? Why let them go? Let's start our own party. Start a progressive party, a true progressive party, or an independent party. All of these things would be much better than what we have now. Right now, you've got a good economy. No credit to Trump. This economy was good before Trump got here. Obama took it from 10% unemployment down to 4%. Then Trump took it to 3.5 or something like that, or maybe 1% less. How is that good? It continued to do what it was doing before Trump even got there. The economy continued to do after Trump what Trump did before he got there. Now, yes, he did a massive tax break for billionaires. He did give them a lot of money. He gave them a permanent tax slashing. And he gave average folks a minor tax deferment. Now, you're still going to have to, your taxes are going back up. Believe me, in a couple of years, you folks, if you make under $250,000 a year, your taxes are going back up. The people who are making billions, their taxes aren't going back up. But what's going to happen is they're going to look at the deficit created by this tax, by the debt created by this tax break for his multi-billionaire friends, and that's going to need to get paid back. And you know who they're coming to for that. They're coming to you. They're coming for your Social Security. They're going to cut Medicare. They're going to cut all these different things that they call entitlements that are not entitlements, that are things that you paid for your entire life and paid into, and they're going to take it because they cut the taxes too much on the billionaires, and they need to pay that back. And under Trump, you'll pay that back. I'm Darian Counts. I appreciate you checking out the show. Check back with us, like and subscribe right here on The Darian Counts Show. We'll see you soon.